A few weeks ago, I listened to an audio by Martin that excited me and opened new understanding of how to create. I've taught the creative process for over 25 years. And actually, the transcript of this particular audio, I worked with quite intensely for a course I was designing over 15 years ago. But hearing it recently thrilled me with a new depth and specificity of understanding, which I want to share with you. In our seminars, what we teach about the creative process is all true and important, but today we're going to consider how to create from a different angle. From the angle of what we can learn from natural childbirth. I guess all the women who are present for this will have a very strong feeling for this. And my hope is that for all of you, male and female, that it will open new understanding of how we can create naturally. Have you ever thought about the fact that when the time is right, the birth of a child is initiated without any conscious choice on the part of the mother? Something is set in motion over which she has no control. And it's exactly like we have no control over the first part of what heaven is bringing to be born. But a little bit later, the mother must consciously cooperate for the birth to be successful. There's specific action required. First, she must let go and relax. And second, she must exert pressure to move the babe out of the birth canal. So there are two things required of the mother: rest and action. And those two things must be in harmony with the birth process that is actually moving beyond the mother's control. So this shows us something important in how we can create anything. The initial stages of birth of anything are set in motion by God. So in natural childbirth, that correlates with the working of the large muscles in the uterus. Those muscles are not under the mother's conscious control. And when the time is right, those muscles begin to propel the babe out of the womb into the birth canal. At that point, the mother must cooperate. She must relax the muscles at the exit of the womb. And she can consciously relax those muscles. If she doesn't relax those muscles, it'll be very painful. But that's not how God designed it. So the first thing that we can learn from natural childbirth is, in the birth of anything, the first step is to let go. But as the babe emerges out of the womb and into the birth canal, the mother must exert pressure. So likewise for us, to give birth to what is emerging from heaven requires us to act, to exert pressure. So that's another thing we can learn from natural childbirth. It's not just letting go. In our services and seminars, we've emphasized the importance of letting go and surrendering, especially in Korea, because tension and struggle runs very high here. But at certain points, there's another important action, which is to exert pressure. That doesn't mean that we constantly exert pressure, as is quite often the case in Korea. It also doesn't mean that we need to be under pressure. We may feel the pressure, but we don't have to be under the pressure. The pressure is actually the power of God moving through us to give birth. I want to read how Martin described this. we needn't be under pressure. We are supposed to associate ourselves with the pressure because it is the pressure that makes birth possible. So that's so important. I want to emphasize it and say again, we must associate ourselves with the pressure because the pressure makes birth possible. And Martin says, if we object to the pressure, it is because we are holding against it. In other words, we're resisting what God is seeking to bring into birth through us. So one more thing from Martin. That which is to be born needs to be pushed forth. It is not just going to fall out. So probably some mothers wish that could happen. So another lesson from natural childbirth is we can't give anything without action, without exerting pressure. Action is something positive coming through us and exerting pressure into the environment. So, in doing that, we are extending the pressure beyond us, so we are not under the pressure. So you might think about that at times. If you're feeling under pressure, it could be because there's an action required of you to exert the pressure beyond you into your environment. Exerting pressure beyond us is the means by which the creative process unfolds into the world. In other words, this is how we create. It takes both rest and action. When we cooperate with God's creative process, we relax, rest at the right time, and we exert pressure at the right time. If we do that, it is not uncomfortable and not painful. So I suggest that you think about these two words, rest and action, with everything that you are creating, which you are doing constantly. And also think about how can you associate yourself with the pressure, because that pressure is the power of God moving through you to give birth. So what we've touched so far with rest action is one part of how we can create naturally. There are two other parts that I want to consider today.